Hey there everybody, been meaning to get this done for a while now, so figured I might as well get it done on tape, show you guys a little tutorial video. I'm going to be wrapping my RDA on my Kenthal 150 watt box mod on my Alliance RDA, and it's been tasting kind of dry and figured it's time for a switch. So for my RDA, I have Phillip head screws, so I enjoy using this 3mm Stanley screwdriver. That's what I use for the RDA. And then I use the 3mm flathead to wrap around it so I can use both at the same time. These Stanley screwdriver sets are super nice actually. They did them well. I think they're perfect for wrapping. They've got this nice rounded edge, which will help later in the wrapping process, as I will show you. So we're going to be wrapping dual macro coils with some 22 gauge. So the first thing you're going to want to do is cut off about 12 or so inches of Kenthal wire. Snip that. And then you're going to want to cut that in half as evenly as you can. And now we're going to wrap it. The first thing you're going to do is grab your desired screwdriver, and for our macro coils we're going to be using 3mm. And the first thing you're going to do is hold down really tight with the wire against, here let me show, with the wire against the screwdriver, and while you're pinching it, use your index finger to flip it over and try to get that as close to the wire as possible. And then I hold my thumb against the bottom, take my other index finger to the top of both of them, pinch it closer and closer until they're pretty much wrapped around. Then you can pull them nice and tight together. Make sure they're nice and snug. And once you get that part, it's pretty easy. I usually just put my index finger on the smaller piece of wire that's not being wrapped around, and then pull tight and just spin it. And every time I'm spinning it, I make sure that the wire is hitting each other and falling into place for the most part. What we're going to do is wrap it 7 times. I'm going to speed up the next part of this video. So there we go. We got 2 dual macro coils wrapped 7 times with 22 gauge. Now we're just gonna put them in our RDAs. Depending on whether or not you got wicks or not in your RDA, you can either skip this step or keep listening. So you're just gonna unscrew the screws all evenly, not all the way, just so they don't fall out, you know. Lost too many screws that way. Also, you're gonna want to lock your box, which I have forgotten to do this time. That can always be a disaster. So you're gonna just pull out the cotton and the wick, or the coils and the cotton together. Sometimes I wash the RDA, but this one looks pretty clean right now. I'll probably just wash the top piece. But what you're gonna do is just grab the flathead or the Phillips, grab a single coil, thread it through. I usually put the part, if you can see it, the part of the coil coming downward of the coil rather than on top. I put the part that goes on the bottom in the middle, and I do that for both sides. I find it easier. So we're gonna put them in there a little over so we have some room to push. So what I'm gonna do is keep that right there and tighten only one of them down since it's a 3-post. And then I'm gonna push it in. Just a little bit at first. We can reposition it later. And we're gonna grab our other coil. So then we're gonna tighten down the center post. Then we will snip the excess wire. Try to make sure you get it down there as deep as possible so there's not very much hanging out to cause for a bad connection. If there is any excess wire, I usually tend to try to just push it downward, get it away from those coils, so that they are not creating any bad contact. Next we're going to even these out, push them, pull up, push, pull up. Make sure you got them in a desired place that you enjoy. Trying to make sure they're not too high, touching the top of your RDA, creating a bad current. Make sure they're nice and good right there. Tighten them up a little bit more before you fire them. And then we're gonna burn off the Kenthal, check the ohms, check the watts, make sure nothing's running too high. Try not to run it above 4 volts right now. We're gonna burn off that nasty ass shit. Let's get it going. It's not gonna burn too evenly at first. You're gonna wanna clamp these down. And then tighten them again. Make sure to tighten them a lot this time. But do not try to snip the wire, because then we'll have to repeat this. Those are running perfectly now. So now we're going to let those cool down before we throw some cotton in them and get vaping. So now it's time to cotton it. I'm using some baking cotton 2.0. Very nice heat resistance, no real dry flavors. Yeah, they're just overall really nice cotton. I highly recommend it. So we're just gonna grab out a nice piece of bacon. They come in little strips like this. They're pretty fucking sick. We're gonna try to grab a piece that you'd think would fit in there. Don't really know how to describe it for the video. But it's kind of a hit or miss. You kind of want it to be pretty tight, but not too tight. You want it to just hang in there perfectly, so to say. You don't want it too loose, you don't want it way too tight where it's just gonna end up burning and not absorbing as much juice. So we'll peel this. And we're just gonna take one of the pieces of cotton and roll it up. Try to roll it up on one little end of it, just so we can thread that through. And looks like it's a little too big, so we're just gonna start peeling it off like some string cheese. And then try to tighten it up again. See if that'll work for the coil. Doesn't look like it. Just keep peeling it. You'll find it. There we go. Then you're just gonna thread it through, pull it, make sure it's got that nice tug to it, but not too tight of a tug. It'll be nice and even between the two. And then just leave that for now. We'll grab the other piece. Make sure they're both fairly even. Nice, nice. And we're just gonna snip it off, make it even. Then we're gonna take a flathead, push it down in there. Try to make sure that it's not underneath the coil, the cotton. Otherwise, it does not get enough airflow and it'll taste kind of burnt. Next, we're just going to take our juice of what we want. Got some straw nana out of E-Cig of Denver. Pretty good shit. $4 a 30 ml, can't really beat that, so what can I say? I dig it. Make sure you get that nice and lathered up there. Fire it, make sure the volts aren't too high, and there we go. There's our macro coil, 22 gauge, 0.17 ohms. Let's see how this baby rips. Pretty good. Let's see. Oh, it's got a good amount of flavor. Very good clouds. This is probably like my favorite standard wrap to do. So I hope you enjoy this video. It took a good amount of time to get this going, edit it and everything. Hit the like button, subscribe, comments, questions, whatever, leave them in the comment bar below. And yeah, vape on.